Episode 6 is Jonathan, also known as JP. JP follows Man United in England, but more surprisingly also supports Boston United. In this episode we speak about the brilliance of Cristiano Ronaldo, how good the 08 United team actually were, and some of the battles and characters we've had over the years at Thursday Night Football. Hope you enjoy the episode. Episode 6, welcome JP.
Thank you very much.
I've been kind of racking my brain over the last couple of weeks, and I thought, right, I want somebody who's got a good knowledge of football, still on a kind of fan part. I got in contact with you. You kind of blew my mind with one of your football teams that you support.
My home team.
Your home team. So today we're going to be speaking about Man United, England, Boston United,
Absolutely.
Which was the one that kind of blew my mind. Any other teams that you support on top of that? Have you got a European team?
No, European football, it's not like I don't like it, but I've just never been attached or attracted by it.
Yeah.
Probably in saying that, but this year's different purely because the England factor. Harry Kane's gone to Bayern, and well, Jude Bellingham. I mean, what can you not say about him?
We said it a few episodes ago.
Yeah,
he's special, proper.
He's probably... I debated a while back whether he was not as good as Rooney at this age, because Rooney was explosive at like 18 to 20. But I think Bellingham ticks all the boxes and more, especially in his last couple of games at England. He's been just... I've never seen a boy grace on the ball. Like even just the way he moves his shoulders to get into position while he's on the ball, it's phenomenal. Yeah, it's like different level.
I agree.
And the fact
he's on the Gaza level.
Probably above, but again, is he going to do it? He's going to do it longer because the way players are adaptable these years, the way they're physically fit, the way they eat, sleep. You know, Gaza is on his own a different level because of what he did off the pitch. Yet he could still do it on the pitch. Yeah, but Bellingham for me is just.
I think they're on par, the two of them, talent wise.
Yeah, he's the best talent. I mean, it's something else I've noticed. I've been noticed in a podcast before. Is Foden's been mentioned a few times.
Yep.
I don't see the hype at all.
No,
I can't see it. I think he's loved a lot by people in City.
Yep.
Pep loves him. He says he's great technically, but couldn't get a sniff last year. Mahrez kept him at the team.
Hype came off of that under-17s World Cup where they beat Spain 5-2 in the final, and I think he scored 2 and set up 2 that night and was unreal.
He was meant to be the golden boy for Euro 2020.
Yeah,
wasn't even a starter.
No.
And I think he's got 90 minutes.
His hairdo got more headlines
because it's again the comparison to Gaza, because that's what he's meant to be. But for me, he just doesn't do it, and it's not because he's a City fan and I'm a United fan.
Yeah,
I just don't think he's anything special. I might be the only person to say that.
I think he's a good player. I think
in that team he will always look good.
If he continues on his trajectory, but I think if he were to go to not a Man City, not even a Chelsea or a Man United or something like that, I think if you stick him into Brighton, go and spend 80 million on him, he's going to be a different player. He's going to be the main man in the team, and I think you're going to get a better player out of him. I think he's always going to be a 30 game a season guy at Man City. He's never going to be a 50 game a season guy.
No, that sometimes works though. But then back when Henry initially left Arsenal, likes of Arteta and all that stepped up. Like their games improved, and it's because the focal point wasn't Henry. And I think even though they probably haven't won as much as they maybe should have going after Henry left, but everybody stepped up. Yeah. And sometimes not having that allows other people to be free, because he would have been the one that's like, let him do what he wants, everybody else covers him.
Yep. Do you think that would be the case if Haaland left?
Ooh. Haaland's difficult, isn't he?
Because there's someone that's got to step. He's going to leave. We know he's going to leave. He's maybe got 2 or 3 more.
I would say 2 more, and he's going to go to Madrid. Yeah, it's because there's a release clause, so we'll get released. Is it 2 years? And again, I think it's 120. So,
and I think you mentioned that they have first option on anyone.
Oh yeah, Real
that's
Madrid.
just again, that name gets brought up a lot, but just how if they're going anywhere, it's not Barcelona anymore.
No,
but 10 years ago it would have been. Barcelona was a team. And yet Madrid probably haven't been ultimately that successful the last 10 years, but yet they still get to spin these players.
Like does he step into that position once Haaland goes, or do you think
Foden?
Yeah, or do you think that?
Well, Foden would have to be the false 9, which is Pep's game. So bringing Haaland in was difficult. Yeah. And I think a lot of people would probably be the same. Like last year, the way that he just come out the blocks. But there was a few times I watched him, like I think the first game of the season for City was against West Ham, and you could see him running behind. But that's never been City's game under Pep, to play the ball over the top.
No.
But the only boy that could do it to find him was Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah.
He's the only one that could do it. And it's just not the way that City, they had to adapt to him for a change, rather than everybody coming in and adapting to City's game.
Yep.
So Grealish couldn't get a game because he wasn't ready to adapt the way that Pep wanted to play.
Yep.
But you have to put Haaland in. But he struggled this year, which I find incredible. I don't know if it's because like Mahrez is gone. Kevin De Bruyne is injured. He's been out for first.
A lot of his game is behind De Bruyne.
Yeah, and he needs a player like De Bruyne. There's nobody else in the Premier League, if you ask me, like Kevin De Bruyne. Some of his assists.
We're going to get on to him later on, because as a Man United fan, you're 1-11, you've included Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah. It was like, I haven't gone for Scholes, which is probably a big thing as a Man United fan.
Massive.
I debated for ages. But I always thought Scholes did the job before the next person.
Yeah.
Scholes, he'll tell himself, never scored enough, never got enough assists. But he, as he got older and dropped us slightly bit deeper, he just dictated the game.
Yep, class.
And gave it to whoever's out wide to put it in for whoever else. So he was the assist before the assist.
Yeah.
Whereas De Bruyne is the assist maker.
Yes.
And that's why he's got the nod.
Aye. Okay. That's a good start, mate. Right, I'm going to get straight into my questions. How good a football player is a kid?
You'll probably not believe this, but I was a goalkeeper.
Wow.
In primary school. My whole primary school, I was the goalkeeper. Hythe Hall Primary. Typical kid that could probably kick the ball. No, but you can see I can ping a ball and they bother on a Thursday night.
Yep.
But I don't know, I must have been the one that was just happy. Yeah, I'll go in the goals.
Yep.
And it stuck basically for primary 3 to 7. I was always in the school team.
Yeah.
Always first choice. It must have been I was playing enough games. whether you get a first choice in primary school.
Did you have difficulties? Because I'm just going to point out to people listening, JP has got probably one of the most powerful left foots I've ever seen. Absolute shite right foot.
It's not as bad as you think. I think it's gotten worse over time. But going back to Thursdays, I'm the first one to criticise boys for not using their weaker foot, because I think it's something that you should
absolutely.
Maybe it's not at the level we play it, but yeah, my right foot used to be okay. Now not so great. But I can
kids used to put it on your right, because I coach youth football and I had one left footer in my team this season, and he had 4 or 5 open chances. I mentioned this on the northeast corner. He had 4 or 5 open chances, and the kids all put it on onto his right.
Can't. Does not do. Sometimes I think left-footed people especially don't know how to adapt their body to receiving the ball on the right foot. Whereas right-footed people can maybe, I don't know, left-sided footballers are quite unique, I think.
Yeah.
Especially maybe centre-backs.
Especially a goalkeeper.
Or even a goalkeeper, yeah. But going back to that, as a kid it went for goalkeeping, and then first year I tried for a team and wasn't successful.
Yeah.
And I lost my way with football a little. But I eventually signed for I think Lossy the year that I started high school. So it'd been 97, 98. That's when they introduced an under-16s.
Yep.
And I got involved in that, and I actually played as a left winger.
Wow.
So I went from goalkeeper to left winger.
How was the pace back then?
A lot better. I was lankier, which is still quite odd for a winger, because I'm 6'4". So even back then I would have been hitting 6 foot. So as a winger, I think sometimes I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I think I was just one, because there was no left footers again. I think I might have just been put out there as that option as a left footer. Again, scored a few worldies at Grant Park, I tell you.
Right.
So that was my highlight. And
this is back when the school and things.
Well, it would have been
used to play at Grant Park.
Yeah, Peter Irons. Peter Irons was my coach at the time for under 16s. So we played team. It was a proper development league.
Yep.
You played everybody. Would have been Fraserburgh, or maybe it was just Highland League teams. Yeah, so it would have been Fraserburgh, Devonvale, Bucky, and all that. They all had proper development teams. Squads, and that's just something I think just has died away.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as predominant now. And yeah, that was a big part of my growing up for 2 or 3 years until I hit 16, and then, well, life takes over, doesn't it? You get a bit more interested in the going out.
Women and drinking.
If you're not doing one thing, you're doing the other, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. That's what a young man's life's all about, mate.
And then as I've gotten older now, I had a few trials for a couple of junior teams, actually. Yeah. Abelard Villa, I played a couple of games. for them. And then I started training with New England juniors, my early 20s, I think. I know they're like, oh, where'd you play? So I can play up front. It's like, you're not playing up front. You're too big to be playing up front. But I can actually hold the ball up pretty well.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I think I could be a good focal point, but teams don't play like that anymore anyway.
No.
But then I converted to centre back, basically.
Yeah, and you're quite comfortable there.
Aye, and I think
suits your game, mate.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it in one of your previous. The game slows down when it does. Yeah. I don't know what it is. That you just feel you have the extra half second in the ball.
I do, and it's not through your pace; it's through your brain.
You can understand a bit more, and I can hold people off quite well.
Yeah,
so they're not gonna. It's not often I'll lose the ball. It's at a level that it starts and it kicking out, but yeah. I still like to be one of the best because I think if you're not wanting to think like that, then you shouldn't be playing football at all.
No, go hard or go home.
Yeah, even if it's a friendly, there's no term as friendly in football, really, is there?
Nope.
Everybody wants to win.
The game of football, football's a sport, and sport is about competitiveness. Yeah. You know? So
if it's not going to be competitive, then you're not going to win or lose. No, and there isn't a point in it. Then really,
there's no point. We're not under sixes.
No,
you know.
So even though, that's where I've been.
I mean, that's the big thing about Jude Bellingham that I take away, all of his ability and that obviously, but the way that he speaks for like what a 19-year-old.
Oh, it's levels, isn't it?
Unbelievable.
He controls himself. He was actually on the side of the pitch with Zola after the England-Italy game just the other week, the qualifier.
Okay.
And he was so graceful. Jude Bellingham was saying, it's a privilege to stand beside you. And Zola was literally drilling. He's like, you're amazing. This is Gianfranco Zola saying to Bellingham, saying, what you're doing is just like phenomenal at his age.
Aye.
And he was just like, I appreciate it. I know what I mean, and he does. He speaks so well.
Humble in that.
And probably better than like Rooney. Rooney's never been able to speak, or certainly when he was younger, he was too nervous.
Yeah.
Whereas Bellingham's he's got everything. Because did he go to Ibrox when they lost and he was just shouting at everybody and he was getting a lot of stick for it, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Like he's going in the dressing room as an 18-year-old telling professors what been playing in 20 years longer than him.
And it's not even like he's doing that.
It's not arrogance.
He's not even doing that in his own language. He's going out and doing that in German. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
It's like
he's turning the sheds to boys that have been playing at that club for 10 years saying, you're not good enough. You need to be. He basically just give me the ball.
Yeah.
And that's not, he's not got an ego. He's just that damn good.
It's
scary.
I agree. Yeah, it's scary.
Do you remember when he left Birmingham City, they retired the shirt?
One season, 16.
We were all like laughing at it, and I mean, it looks like a good decision now.
Yeah.
I was just heartbroken because he was that close to signing for Man United.
Was he going to Spurs before that as well? Was there word of that?
Because
he did the tour with his mum or something, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think he came up and seen Ferguson at Old Trafford.
And that's a big thing that they talk about Gaza, that exactly happened with Gaza.
Yeah.
Ferguson thought the job was done.
Yeah.
Ferguson goes on holiday, gets the phone call the next day.
And he's signed for Spurs.
He signed for Spurs because they bought his mum and dad a house. That was it. And I think Ferguson would have saved his career.
Yeah. Oh,
because Ferguson would have knocked out the whole, you can have a bit of fun, because that's Gaza. Gaza couldn't knock.
Gaza would have been his first Cantona.
Yeah, maybe it's Cantona might not have. So Cantona might not have. It's funny how he's talking about that. Like Cantona might not have happened.
Yep.
There was another thing as well with Beckham. He was meant to be going to Barcelona, and we were going to get Ronaldinho.
Yeah.
So the whole move to LA might not have happened in the way that he's materialised MLS in terms of he signed a contract saying I'm going to make my own team. That might not have happened had he gone to Barca.
No.
And Ronaldinho gone up to United.
It's funny how these little things can change
whole courses of life. Forks, it's a life, isn't it? If you don't go down one route, you change another.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Okay, number 2. Who's your favourite ever player? It doesn't have to be the best ever player, but who's your favourite ever player?
I think it's about Gaza. It really has. I mean, I didn't get to see a lot of him when I was younger because Euro 96 is the first big tournament I ever embraced. I was 10 years old. Mm-hmm. And what he did to you boys was, especially to the local legend, Colin Hendry.
Local legend, mate. Yeah.
And just to go back and hear the stories that he got up to on and off the pitch, like when he was at Rangers with McCoist and he put the mackerel or whatever in it was like Ian Durant's car because he was annoying him at the time. It's just
Did you hear about when Colin Hendry signed for Rangers and he got the mop in the dressing room and he'd set the mop up as
make it look like him.
Make it look like Colin Hendry. And when Colin Hendry walked in the door for the first time, he's taken a ball and he's just flipped it over the mop and slotted it into a bucket.
Just unnatural talent.
Yeah.
Like, he never had to try.
No.
But he was passionate. Like, the World Cup 1990, which was a bit before my time, but obviously the tears, and it's Gascoigne. It's not Gascoigne, sorry. It's Gaza. Sorry, Gary Lineker, he's crying.
Yeah.
Right, he's done. It's just, he was all about football, but he had the problem. He had a tough upbringing, I found out recently as well. It wasn't...
Yeah, if you listen to podcasts with him...
A close friend of his, he seen die or something, didn't he?
Yeah.
Like run over or something, wasn't
he
it?
Got ran over and died
and
in
I
front
think
of him.
that's just... It's traumatised him because he's an insomniac. He can't sleep.
He's got ADHD as well. It's undiagnosed.
He's just like... He's had so many like diagnoses that haven't been fruitioned or people were aware of. Because again, I think Bobby Robson would find him in Italy in World Cup 1990, just at the tennis courts at 4 o'clock in the morning, kicking a ball. And he'd come to him, he's like, what are you doing? He's like, can't sleep.
Yeah.
And I think Seaman in Euro 96 had to take him to a corner shop to get some beers one time. And they literally sat on the edge of a river fishing because he liked fishing. There's a thing, obviously, with another thing that happened. I think that's where the fishing comes into it.
Yeah. And
the story that Seaman picks up is that him and Gaza are sat fishing with a 4-pack because he was given the time off by, was it Venables at 96? Can't remember who his manners was. But so the two of them are on the side of a river and Gaza pops out his packet and he's like, what's that? Is it Valleys?
Okay.
So they're popping Valleys and Seaman says the next thing he remembers is that he'd passed out and Gaza was just doing what Gaza does. And I love that because he was still able to go and perform all these issues that he had, and especially the way that players are like meticulous about what they do and don't do. Like Ronaldo won't drink anything but water.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like his life is so scientific now, whereas Gaza's wasn't. It's the flair players that I love. Like you go back further to like George Best, and
we spoke in episode 5 about the Mavericks. The Mavericks missing from the modern game.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Because they get scrutinised though, don't they? Like you're not allowed to do stuff. You couldn't do half of what you would. It's politically incorrect these days. The world's a bit soft.
To get back, I'll take it back again to this. Look at the criticism Jack Grealish got in the summer for being drunk again.
Because we all do that every weekend.
Yep.
And is it because people can't accept that they should say to their kids, "You're allowed to do that"? He's celebrating. It's nothing else. And they're like, "Oh, but if your kids see that, it's wrong." It's like, no, it's part of life.
Yeah.
We shadow. We're too good in
wrapping them up
and not allow them to see how the world actually works.
Yep.
You're allowed to go on a bender when you've had the season that he had, winning the treble.
Kids are kids for 18, 20 years, and you want to cherish that time, but there's also another 60 years of your life after that, which is the real world.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think as well, like if your kids are looking up to someone as a role model and not you as a role model, you've kind of got to question that, really, right? Like
100%.
The people you should kind of be, idolizing are people that you know.
Your inner circle, absolutely. Not celebrities as footballers are these days on the telly. You can have your favourite, but you shouldn't be living by their rules.
You can look at them as good people, but you should be looking at other people before you're looking at them as your role models. I agree.
And Gaza, I think Gaza's, I can't really think.
He's had a hard time in life, and it doesn't help with Gaza as well that he cannot walk into a bar without getting offered a pint.
Yeah, I think he's working on that recently. And did he not appear at some like shop opening where Prince William was? It was on the news.
I never heard that.
I have to go back and see it. It literally hit the news because like the Prince William was opening somewhere, and he had to take a second look. It's like, oh, it's Gaza. Gaza was literally a part of the crowd that just turned up for Prince William opening a shop, and the boys like, oh, it's Gaza. How you doing? You know what I mean? Like people didn't know he was there, and he's just because that's a Gaza thing, isn't it?
Aye.
Just roll up to like a random event. Oh, the Prince is there. I'll go see him a day. Just Gaza. Just quality.
Yeah, you can't replace that. That's just a character.
Nah, and that's what the game is, missing characters.
Okay.
Before your next question, Lee, I'm just going to check the cameras, but keep going.
Yeah, sorry, mate. What's the best game of football you've seen, either live, telly?
Ooh, that's a good one. Best game I've ever seen.
Do you want me to give you mine? To
go on there. You might jog a bit of memory.
The best game of football I've seen was the final 30 minutes of the World Cup final last year.
Okay, I didn't actually see. I don't know why I didn't see it, but maybe it was a lost interest because England went out, and then France were winning, weren't they?
France were winning, and Argentina equalised. Argentina were winning, and then they pulled it back. It was 3-3, and then the penalties, and that I'm the same as you. I'd kind of fallen away from it. Not even just the World Cup by that stage. Football had kind of scunnered me with the ending of COVID. Project Restart, all this crap, and then obviously the mad schedule that ran up to the World Cup.
Players were burnt out.
Every team suffered. Not Klopp going about, oh, my team suffered, this manager. No, every team suffered. There's no doubt about that. The only teams that didn't suffer are lower league teams, and I don't mean because of COVID, because they did because of COVID, but their schedule isn't mad because of internationals. They can continue to play. But every top league team suffered, and I'd kind of fallen away from football, and the last year or so, that World Cup kind of sparked it. And
I think the uniqueness of it.
Yeah,
I think it actually worked a lot better than people give it credit for.
I liked it.
Yeah, because it was different for a change, having a World Cup in December.
Yeah,
I loved it because I was coming up at 4 o'clock after doing the school run. It's dark outside, and I've got football on.
Yep.
Kids are fed, and I've got football on at 4 o'clock. I was like, this is pretty good actually.
Yeah,
Dark nights. It's like games back to back. Game at 4, game at 7.
Yeah,
and I was like, yeah, I could get used to this actually.
Absolutely.
So for 4 weeks, it was brilliant.
Something
so
a bit different, wasn't it?
It was obviously Qatar's got its own political issues, but the football itself is probably some of the best. Even actually the Russian one before that, I was a bit sceptical of being in Russia, but I thought it was a great World Cup.
Yeah,
2018. But got me thinking like, but probably the 8-2 United beat Arsenal.
Oh, wow,
Going back, I think it was possibly Ashley Young's debut season. But that starting 11, I don't know if you can pick that up, Ryan, but I think United possibly had like 6 defenders playing.
I've seen
I think that's when you have
got like Chris Smalling at right back.
Yeah, I think you had John O'Shea like centre mid, and you might have had one of the the De Silva brothers playing like as a right midfielder.
Yeah,
and Rooney was obviously playing. Nani was playing, but it was just. I don't think it was the greatest Arsenal team either. I think they were struggling with a few injuries, but it just didn't happen against that Man United Arsenal. That's just never happened in the history of like the late 90s, early 90s, where they were the 2 top teams in England.
Yeah,
and obviously it was a bit past that, but 8-2 just was not expected. I remember watching at the pub and I think I took a photo of the scoreline. I was that like shocked by it. But yeah, and Rooney scored a couple of free kicks in that game as well. Someone he was never credited for, but he wasn't bad. And Ashley Young could hit a ball as well.
Danny Welbeck played that game, possibly.
Yeah. Do you know he's the most scoring player against United that used to play for them? That burns me
Who's
inside.
That, sorry?
Danny Welbeck.
Is he?
Yeah. He scored. Has he scored at Old Trafford like the last 3 times in a row?
2 for Brighton and 1 for Arsenal. Put them through. So the starting 11 against Arsenal that 8-2 game was David De Gea, Chris Smalling at right back, Phil Jones, the centre back, Johnny Evans, which is funny because he's still playing centre back now.
Yeah, at Man United.
Yeah, Patrice Evra, loved Paddy Evra to be honest. Nani, Cleverley and Anderson
in your midfield.
Ashley Young, Danny Welbeck, and Wayne Rooney.
And to beat Arsenal, even any team with that, that was a team of fringe players at best.
Yeah,
and that just goes down to what Ferguson.
Have you got the Arsenal team from that?
Yeah, so we've got Chesney, Carl Jenkinson, De Juro, Koscielny, Traore, Aaron Ramsey, Coughlin, Rosicky, Walcott, RVP, and Andre Arshavin.
Still a half decent Arsenal
You'd
team.
say a better team on paper than that United team.
All day long.
United's midfield was Anderson and Cleverley.
We won a league title with that midfield.
It's just like...
Is that the Fergie effect?
Oh, 100%.
In full effect.
He's the greatest manager ever, purely based on his man management.
Yeah.
Like some of the stories you hear from like Lee Sharp of how we used to go down and break up parties because he'd phone up the parents.
Listen to them ones,
and they'd be like, where are they? Oh, and you could tell straight away that, if you ever told your mum to cover for you, 9 times out of 10 she would. But these parents were obviously realising that it would be best if Ferguson was to go and give him a clip, and he did. He used to go down, right, where are they? They'd be hiding in the bathroom upstairs, basically get the fuck out and get back to bed. Training first thing tomorrow.
Yep.
And they used to get slaughtered. And it did them the best. Lee Sharp probably played longer in that United squad than what he probably should have. But again, he was a bit of a loose cannon.
He was.
Never achieved what he probably should have. But you see what he did with the rest of them.
Because before Giggs Mania happened, Lee Sharp was seen as the man.
Well, Giggs looked up to him.
Yeah.
Him and Paul Ince were phenomenal for the first couple of seasons at United. But yeah, he lost his way, really. Yeah. And it was because it was the end of the drinking culture. When Ferguson took over, it was a massive drinking culture at the club. We had the likes of Paul McGrath and that. Basically go to training and go to pub.
Brian Robson.
Yeah,
he's known as the biggest drinker
What you hear they used to get up to is it's crazy. Like Paul Marston obviously wasn't a United player, but what he used to knock back and still perform to.
And him and Gaza lived in a flat together while at Middlesbrough.
Can you imagine that?
Would have liked to have been a fly in the wall.
Yeah, it's just like, whose idea is that? Like 10 years after Madness, Paul Marston come back. After
I can tell you whose idea that was. That's Brian Robson's idea, because that's.
Oh, he was a manager.
He was a manager.
Brilliant. Did not know that.
Have you ever seen the picture of Brian Robson being unveiled as Middlesbrough manager? Because he was player manager. He's got this. I think it's a suit jacket on. But he's also got the shorts and the socks and the boots on. It's quite hilarious.
90s were just a different world.
Yeah, they were, mate. They were. Even the kits and everything. Okay. Favourite football player that's currently playing?
Jude Bellingham, I think, hands down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's taken me a wee while to get on board with it. But like going back to what Ryan said earlier on, like when you realise that at 16, Birmingham City retired his number. Mm-hmm. And that's for a 16-year-old to realise how good he was. And then to make the move to Dortmund and within a season be arguably the best player at that club.
I'd say so.
And constantly in Team of the Year. I mean, the only players above him in that league would have been like Lewandowski.
Yep.
Just because of, different players. But he's a phenomenal. And like I said earlier, I didn't think he was at the levels that Rooney was at this age. But I think he surpassed it. That performance against Italy recently was hands down one of the best I've seen in years. Yeah. And I actually was I was texting my mate saying, and it's not something I don't give praise to a lot of professionals easily. I'm drooling new thinking about it, but I was just like immense. And he's a joy to watch. I can't get enough of him.
What he's doing at Real Madrid just now is
10 goals in 10 games.
Yeah.
Never been done before.
Nope.
He doesn't believe his own hype either, which I think is a great thing. Jadon Sancho went to the Bundesliga and was one of the top young players in the world, and now obviously you're kind of seeing how that's played out.
But with Jadon Sancho, you're hearing a lot of stories that weren't published before, and obviously Ten Hag's basically spilt the beans, isn't he?
Yeah.
And Dortmund used to manage Sancho, but they needed him to try and keep up with Bayern.
Yeah.
And that's why I allowed him to get away. What's he meant to be doing, playing FIFA 4 o'clock in the morning and stuff like that?
Allegedly.
Like the night before games.
Yeah.
It's I get other players back in the day, like Gaza, wouldn't have slept.
No.
But he's not getting warped into video games, is he?
No, exactly. It's different, but it's they're making so much money, you can't make these commitments.
But then you go into comparison to what Bellingham's probably doing. Mm-hmm. He'll be going to bed,
be in an ice bath before his bed or something.
He'll be doing everything right, and that's why. And it comes across with the way he speaks, like was mentioned earlier. It's not just his footballing side. I love the fact of how he speaks to people.
Yeah,
and that'll go back to his family. Like his mum and dad will have brought him up like that.
Yep.
And now his brother's starting to make amends. Is it Sunderland?
Joby, yeah.
He's starting to kind of make a name for himself. Obviously not at the levels that his brother was at age, but obviously with that name's going to come a bit of pressure.
Absolutely.
But I think he's living up to it well enough in a Sunderland team that's doing no bad in the Championship.
I don't think there's that much of an age difference between them for that pressure to be massive. It's not
but his brother can just take it, and he's taking it. I mean, to go to Real Madrid, seriously, at the age of, is he 19 or 20?
Must be coming just up for 20. I think he's still a teenager. He was captain at Dortmund at 18.
He said he was scared when he got given the number 5 shirt because it's Zidane. Mm-hmm. He's like, I can't be letting he's even thinking of shirt numbers, not necessarily the players. I can't be letting this number down.
Yeah,
and I think he'll be written in history now because of the start
mentality.
He's winning Real Madrid games already.
Yep,
and the players he's got around him, especially that front four. He's got Vinicius Junior.
Rodrigo as well.
Rodrigo.
And
no, Benzema's not anywhere he's last year. Who's it?
Vinicius Junior.
Rodrigo.
I think
Valverde's been playing out.
The French boy behind him, what's his name?
Chouameni.
Just plays around him, and he's the one.
Camavinga, sorry.
And they've all been there for a couple of seasons.
Yep.
And he's just gone in. He probably doesn't know Spanish that well. Mm-hmm. But what he does is talking on the pitch, and he's just, he's got. And I don't think it's hyped as big as Rooney. I think that helps, actually. Yeah. Like when Rooney came in 18, it was massive. Like 2004 and that, he was phenomenal. He was explosive, Rooney. But Jude Bellingham doesn't have that hype. And I think it's because he's gone to Germany. It's no English media to build you up.
Yep.
He's allowed
his career.
And now he's allowed to play his football, and you can see the benefits. Like he's just gone to Spain, and there's no pressure in Spain. Not like there would be if he was playing in the Premier League.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly.
I would love to see him eventually in the Premier League, but he's going to go to the team I probably dislike the most. I'm not even going to say the name.
Okay, we'll move on from that one then. In your opinion, JP, what is the best kit ever made?
Ooh. I was wondering if I was going to get asked this based on some of the other ones. You know who? A couple of international teams that usually string out a few good ones. Mexico.
Oh yeah.
Like I think it was the last away strip. It's just got like the Aztec kind of like background.
One you're on about.
That's really nice. The Japanese, I've always got a few good ones, but my all-time favourite is the black away kit at Cantona.
Okay.
Selhurst Park.
Yeah,
1995 black.
Yeah, the sharp one.
Nice collar, sharp view cam.
There's kind of got gold lettering on that one.
Yeah, it's yellow and blue.
Yellow and
bit
blue.
Around. One of my first kits I ever got actually. Something I regret doing actually when I was younger. I actually got rid of all my kits, and I think I wouldn't do it. And I was like, why did I do it? Because I used to get old names. I had Keane on my back. I had Beckham, Giggs a lot. Had the
I had Rob Douglas on my back.
Oh, did you? Yeah. Keep back to yourself. But no, I used to have I think United were one of the first teams actually did it as well. The Champions League kit. They were one of the first teams to ever introduce a Champions League kit.
Yeah,
like 98, 99.
Yeah,
the badge was all different.
Yeah, I remember that. Wow.
That was a good one. But no, my all-time favourite is that, I think it's 95 away kit, the black. I love the old school collar.
Is that the image you have of that kit? Because there's always...
No, there's loads. Going back to Lee Sharp, that season as well, we went to Aston Villa, who I think the previous season had actually finished second below us, and with Ron Atkinson as manager.
Yeah.
And the year after, we went to Villa Park, really tough place to go at the time. And Lee Sharp was phenomenal that game. Scored a belter from outside the box. It hit the post. But yeah, Villa were such a great side, and to go there and do that, Ferguson would have known.
Andy Townsend and that at the time.
The Steve Staunton.
Yeah.
Ray Houghton, the boy that scored the goal at the World Cup for
Ireland. Yep.
The boy that died recently, Damien.
Dion Dublin was playing for
that was years after, Dalian Atkinson. He died a few years ago, but he was a powerhouse, proper like old centre forward. So yeah, there's a few memories, but I didn't really do anything wrong if you ask me, but that's personal opinion. If anybody's going to get abused like that, you're going to do something, aren't you?
Yep, we've said this before. There's only so much a human being can take, and he's not doing that for no reason.
I think you mentioned as well the story that Lee Sharp talks about that, doesn't he? When they're in the dressing room afterwards, it's like it's like Ryan Robson's like, boys, you better get in. Ferguson's fucking raging, get in, and he's like, can't do that. Robson, you're shite. Pallister, you can't fucking tackle. And see, what the fuck were you doing? Can't be doing that, mate. You know I mean?
Just karate kick the fan in the fucking chest.
They always talk about how like Cantona, as Cantona, he was a bit of a bit of a loose cannon, but he had to have that arm around his shoulder. He needed that.
Ferguson waited a month when he left, every day waiting for him to come
to
back.
see if he'd make sure he'd come back.
Yeah,
and what an impact! Like he won us that league that year in 95, 96, 12 points behind Newcastle.
So I asked a question to Ryan, and I'm going to ask a question to you as a Man United fan, JP. Did they win the treble with Cantona in the team? Because he left the season before.
Yes, I'd say yes.
They do?
And I think it's because I didn't realise until I watched the previous blog like how much there was rotation in that squad.
Yep.
So Cantona would have played his part. Maybe he's not as much because the front four was phenomenal.
Who do you think loses out if Cantona's in that squad?
You change your formation though, don't you? When we won that treble, it was like for like strikers. So you had Cole and York, who they're just at the top.
Yep.
There's no player that drops. Whereas if you've got Cantona, but then Cantona was very much like a Sheringham. Maybe Sheringham wouldn't have come in.
I agree. Yeah, he was a link to the.
Yeah. So it might have been a case of like, so your starting two would have been Cole and York, and then if Cantona was there, there's no Sheringham. It's Cantona and Solskjaer.
Yeah.
And yeah, it would work. Why wouldn't it work? Couldn't not work. Excuse me. But yeah. Definitely win that.
Okay.
Definitely win that.
First World Cup memories.
1994. So I would have been 8. USA 94. Some World Cup.
Colourful.
Different. Opening ceremony, I think there was Diana Ross, and she misses the penalty. But even though the goals like break anyway, so why didn't it just break the goals before and make it look like she scored? But yeah, it was a bit of it was calamity. Well, it's the first time, obviously, soccer had been like publicly as popular in a place like
Can you remember quite a lot of the World Cup?
No, not really, but it's memorable based on the fact that I remember being in the Queen Street Chippy and Lossy, and they had a wee old telly in the corner, and it was Ray Houghton. I seen him score.
Yeah.
I seen that happen, and that's when I think it was Italy. They beat them 1-0.
Yep.
So that was my first proper major tournament. Was it World Cup? Was it the question? Yeah, World Cup memory.
Yeah, first World Cup memory.
Yeah, but if going on to tournaments like Euro 96, I don't think if you're a bit of a football lover, the impact that had, not just for England, I think the whole of the UK, it was a massive tournament. Obviously Scotland played their part.
Well, you also had...
And were so close to obviously getting out the groups, weren't they?
They were.
Was it one goal that we conceded against?
One goal.
Because we beat Netherlands 4-1.
Because you conceded a goal against them.
Yeah, put you out because you were winning it. Was it
Switzerland?
Switzerland, that's right,
yeah. But Euro 96 also took in the time of New Labour. There was a massive change in government. Just everything was happening. You had the Britpop new wave.
Spice Girls, everything, the hell lot, wasn't it? It was mad. It was mad summer. I watched, it was before the last Euros. So 2020, but 21.
And a certain person was born during this summer as well.
Oh, me?
Yeah, I realised that. You were born on the same day as... There was a certain game in that tournament. We figured this out a few weeks ago. I'd have to look that up.
All right. News to me,
But I think it's
we were talking about it, you just don't remember.
I think it was... It's either the final or it's either the England-Scotland game. It's one of the two.
Oh, imagine if it's the England.
Uri Geller is not your dad, is he?
No.
What it was when we had Scott Ramsey on, we were looking up what was number one when we were born, and his was 3 lions on a shirt.
Oh, right, okay. Brilliant.
So that's how we figured it out. And then I looked up the date. And
mine's actually Uptown Girl, to go away from it. The number one when I was born. Billy Joel.
Brian Adams, everything I do it for you.
I feel
9 months in September.
No, you mean Bruce? You mean Bruce Springsteen?
No, it's Brian Adams.
No,
right, sorry. I got you there. Okay, right. In your opinion, who is the GOAT?
Oh wow.
If you want me to two-part it, we can throw out Messi because
it's interesting you say that actually, because I seen a clip recently and Messi was on the phone, and he was asked, excluding yourself, who would you class as the GOAT, and he reeled off hundreds of players, or maybe not hundreds, maybe it's a handful, and then he was asked, why have you not included Cristiano Ronaldo, and he's like, well, I see him as the same level as me. So I found that amazing that Messi appreciates what he does. That he wouldn't name him. He's in the same bracket as me. Again, it's I would go Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo, as in the more current GOAT, based on the fact that he's done it in so many different leagues.
Yep.
I
seen a stat the other day that Haaland will have to score 53 goals a season until he's 35. Until he's 35.
And he still wouldn't have enough, would he?
Still be behind Ronaldo.
I mean, I think with Messi and Ronaldo, they pushed each other definitely to hit that levels. Right?
That was it. 6 years La Liga, 7 years. Whatever.
That was just fascinating to watch.
Just back and forth.
Yeah.
Barcelona more often than not, especially when it come to El Clasico, got the better. Certainly of Real Madrid, but purely because he's done it everywhere. But they are two different players.
Yeah.
Messi's always been the middleman where he just picks up and goes. He's a false 9, isn't he? And people forget that Ronaldo was doing things with Anderson and Cleverley.
Yeah, you said this.
Okay, I think the comparisons are unfair based on the fact that who Messi had around him at Barcelona. If Ronaldo was there, maybe you should ask a question: would he have scored more goals? Because that's what it comes down to. Because statistically, when you're talking about these GOATs, you talk about it's not says assists. People talk about goals. That's what we want to hear about in football.
Yep.
Who scored the most? Would Ronaldo have scored more goals than Messi with that team behind him? And the answer probably is yes.
Yeah.
I think it would have happened. For what Ronaldo did with a United, that year he scored 41 goals. It's just incredible.
And it was some of the goals he was scoring as well.
The key got clutch goals, I call them, important goals. And it got us over the that
open question here. Do you guys have a favourite Cristiano Ronaldo goal? Mine's a Portsmouth free kick.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a backstory, but I'll mention it off air why that's so memorable for me. But the Porto, was it against Porto?
Oh yeah, the screamer.
Screams it for there's not even any pull back in his leg.
And they're getting dominated in that game as well.
Yeah, we did. I think it was 20 minutes in, and Belly had a sniff, and he's just picked the ball up and whack.
Yep.
And we held on that day actually. We held on to win 1-0, and it was important. But Do
you know what Ronaldo game always sticks out for me, and it's a strange one? Do you remember when you guys beat Roma 7-1?
He scored his first European goal and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, I just remember how dominant Man United were that night.
Alan Smith, you know what I mean? Like it's a guy that had actually been more predominantly used as a midfielder.
Yeah,
like, I think it was his best game he probably had for United. But again, that starting lineup would probably not like a team that would blow you away.
No,
it was just like
it was the only season I watched United because Larsson was playing.
Yeah, a special mention to him. Like for a guy of his age, was he 35 when he came to us?
Yeah.
And he was running boys in the Premier League, centre backs that had been there in circles.
Yep.
Scored 3 or 4 goals, played 12 games, and he more than impacted me as a United fan to say, God, I'd only wish we'd got him when he was younger. And Ferguson wanted him as well.
Yeah.
But he was loyal.
Yeah.
And that's the humanity side of Larsson doesn't often get talked about. Again, there's times when I think he went to like a children's hospital, and the kid was a St. Johnson fan, and he went and spent the day with him. He was only meant to spend like 2 or 3 hours. That was like his contracted time, if you like. But he ended up spending the whole day. Actually went back home, met the parents and stuff like that, and was seen in a photograph with like a St. Johnson top on. You just didn't get that at the time, and you still don't.
No,
because like fans can't get near footballers these days.
This is the issue, mate.
And obviously they're obsessed in it. Like, but you see kids running on pitch, and the security guards are going after him. But you know, you've got Messi and that saying, "Just leave him. Wants a photo, let him go." Do you know what I mean? They're 10-year-old kids. They're not gonna.
No,
I wouldn't expect them on a pitch to be doing anything unjust. You know what I mean? Just let them see the fans.
Yeah,
that's it. They're one moment.
Larsson was another player as well that didn't rate himself. Didn't think he was much of a player.
And again, that's probably to his benefit.
Yeah,
didn't let it get to him, and he
held
just played
in high regard at Barcelona as well. He was only there for 2 seasons. He came on the Champions League final. They're 1-0 down, changed the whole game. Yeah. And Henry actually mentioned him as an interview after the game.
He says, a game changer now.
I didn't see Ronaldinho tonight. I didn't see Samuel. I've seen Henrik Larsson out there.
Coming like 65th minute, didn't he?
Yeah.
Sol Campbell scored the first.
He did. Aye. And then Jens Lehmann got sent off.
That's right. Changed the game.
Yeah.
And Larsson coming on.
Yep.
Best bit about that was stopping Arsenal winning the European Cup.
Yeah. And do you know what? I think we'd be speaking about Arsenal and Arsene Wenger a lot differently if that result had changed.
That was probably his biggest disappointment as an Arsenal manager.
And that would be my favourite Ronaldo moment, just to finish that off, is when we beat them 3-1, I think it was, Champions League semi-final.
Oh, phenomenal.
And the counter-attack. Because that
with Rooney in Park.
That goal just kind of encapsulates
the whole
you
said a blue style. Strip on that night. Yeah, I remember
But that's just like United's DNA, for lack of a better term, that quick transition.
It is, and it's something they've lost. And they actually got criticised a lot with it under Solskjaer, like you want to play counter-attacking football, but counter-attacking football is not. It's nearly as same as traditional football. Yeah. You're just doing it further up pitch.
Yeah, I agree.
Rather than say from a corner up the other end, your counter-attacks, you're waiting for the press and go. So it's very similar.
Yeah,
you're catching the players in the same area of the pitch. But Solskjaer got criticised for it. If things had worked out, his forward 3 was going to be Greenwood, Sancho and Rashford. Could you imagine them 3 going in behind every team?
Yeah.
If obviously a lot of things off the pitch hasn't worked out in the way things were probably expected, and obviously lost his job, but that would have been our front 3. And going back to that Arsenal game, Ryan, Ronaldo's free kick that game.
Yeah.
Another one. Just like he's hit it from your cutest of angles ever, and it's just in.
Yeah.
Can't see it.
And the depression that felt the Emirates was beautiful.
And it was quick goals, wasn't it? I think we were 2-0 down within 20 minutes. Yeah. And United just bossed it. We had to go there and win because they were a top side at the time. And again, Ferguson, these game plans that Ferguson comes up with, I don't know what he did to get the players up for it, but he did. Like with the big games, I think if you looked at his record in big games, he wouldn't have lost many.
No,
like obviously, like the 2 back-to-back Champions Leagues.
Yep.
Against Barcelona. Especially like Wembley. Oh, I hated that one. Going to Napoli afterwards and the boys writing 3-1 on my bloody kebab. Apart from those games, but I don't think anybody could have matched up to Barcelona.
No.
They were just probably the best team over the last 23 years, like those 2 years, those 3-4 years, Barcelona in Europe, untouchable. But any other quality side that Ferguson ever had to play up against, I think he got the better of them.
Ask 100 people what's the best club side of all time, 60% of them will say that. that Barcelona team.
I hate to say it because I'm United through and through, and I hate to give any other team praise.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard for me to praise players as well because I don't think praising people is always. It's like people always say you have to, but it's like, why should you have to? But anyway, yeah, you can't not recognise that squad.
Yeah.
Like Puyol at the back, just like proper old school central defender, and that midfield. You just.
We had a mention of Puyol in episode 4 for somebody who'd actually watched him play, and he says he's just unreal. Just unreal.
It was just so frustrating. You couldn't get the ball off him.
No. and the thing is, if you deviated from your job to try and go and press that ball, they're in and they've scored.
That 2011 final, I can't remember if Park started, and I don't think because Ferguson used to play him in the big games.
No, because he said
he was
it Fletcher that started.
He said you might be right. I know he was banned for the 2009 one when he got the sent off in the Emirates game. I think Ferguson did an interview with Gary Neville where he said if he brought Park on at halftime and solely told him to mark Messi. He reckons we would have won.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit of a long shot still.
Dubious, yeah.
I think he would have made it more difficult. I mean, the amount of times he man-marked Parlow over the few seasons we played him, and Parlow couldn't get a touch on the ball.
Yep.
And that was just a Korean boy that had not world class, but just could do a job.
Yep, worked right.
Three Lung Park, as he was known.
Yeah, because we kind of had a similar player in Ander Herrera a few years ago where he put him on Eden Hazard and that. Yeah.
I don't think the end product was as good. No. But yeah, Park was the boy for the big moments, and I thought I was right in saying that he didn't start. And he probably should have. And that was at Wembley. That was one that Ferguson wanted to win.
Yep.
Wembley. And it would have been. We got to 3 finals in 4 years. So we weren't far behind. We were the second best.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Chelsea probably weren't far off, actually.
AC Milan were kicking about as well.
Yeah. But yeah, and to come up against twice to Barcelona, I don't think you could. I think it's fair enough.
We should have been at that 2010 one as well, with the whole Bayern Munich stuff and them getting Rafael sent off in the away goals ruling and
That's
all that.
That's right, yeah. Real Madrid, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's ifs and buts, isn't it?
Okay, have you ever met a professional football player?
No, I don't think I have, but I've I think Ryan mentioned previously when he thought Gorham was in the beach bar once, so indirectly he's like, I've met somebody. We were on a stag do once in Aberdeen. And when you come up the train station, it's not like it was now. It's not like it. You know what I mean? It's not like it was. No, it's not like it is. Sorry. So where this, when you come up the train station, the Sainsbury's there.
Yeah.
It used to be a pub. I don't know if you know that.
No, I didn't.
It used to be a pub called the Criterion Bar.
Right.
Bit of a shithole. Not a lot happening. But so we ended up in there because I think we were staying at the Jury's Inn. It not long opened, so it's literally across the road. So I'm off the train station, across the road with pints, and we're all having a fag. And funny enough, Willie Miller just walks past.
Wow.
So a couple of boys. I didn't really know who he was because I'm not an Aberdeen fan, etc. But it wasn't until afterwards, boys like, it's Willie Miller. I was like, all right, okay. So, yeah, short and sweet, nothing else to it.
Okay.
But it's just...
It's a local legend.
Everyone else is buzzing about it. It's like just seeing Willie Miller just walking past.
That's a captain of Ferguson's first team,
Yeah, it was his 80s, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So, he's an absolute local
Ferguson's
legend.
Big Aberdeen team that beat Real Madrid and things. That was his captain.
Again, you talk about the Ferguson effect. That Aberdeen team didn't really have any rights to be where they were.
No, but the thing is, you ask my dad, right? My dad's got some controversial opinions on football, and if you ask my dad about the 80s Ferguson team, he says, "But that was Billy McNeil's team." And he says,
"Is that team inherited then? Was it?"
Yeah, so it was an inherited team. Ferguson added quality to it, but the team was already built. But I think what we'll go back to is Ferguson's man management put them to that final. He might have already had the players.
It's Aberdeen itself. Like Aberdeen's very much obviously it's all oil and gas, but when you pull that back, it's a working class city.
It's a hard time.
Yeah. So when Ferguson had Aberdeen in the 80s, they used to train on the beach because they didn't have facilities.
Yeah, they didn't have a training ground. Yeah.
So they were literally in the northeast weather and pissing down rain. Well, you know what it's like.
Yeah.
And they were literally training, Strachan, a lot of them.
Yeah.
But down there, you know what I mean. So it's working class, and that's what you hear a lot of Ferguson's man management is from where it's governed. It's old steel kind of
shipyards and all that kind of
like
stuff.
Working class. You go out all day, you do your bit, and you come back, and you get rewarded for it. No, it doesn't happen short term; it's long term, and that's what happened with certainly with Aberdeen.
I think it's another thing that's missing in the modern game again.
Just hard work.
Yeah,
hard work for me. Like as somebody who plays football, I'm not the most gifted a player, but I think I work quite hard, and hard work will always beat skill and
There's a saying in there is hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Yeah, that's it. I think Michael Jordan used to say that quite a bit, like probably one of the greatest sports player ever, by the way. His mentality. But yeah, hard work is the 80% of the game.
Absolutely, mate.
And it'll get you anywhere. Yeah. Work for each other and work for yourself.
We've seen that on Thursday nights.
Yeah, exactly.
Played, the harder you work, you'll reap the benefit from it. Best player you've seen in the flesh?
Well, this is a good one. In terms of I've never been to Old Trafford in all my days.
It's
just that because I've been up here 33 years, and for whatever reason,
it's similar with Dominic because he lives up here.
That he's never been into Eleanor, but he's never actually watched Leeds at home. But funny enough, I've actually managed to go to Germany twice in a year and watch Bayer Leverkusen because it was on two different stag do's. The first one we went to see Hertha Berlin versus Leverkusen, and then about a year later it was Schalke and Leverkusen. Leverkusen were at home this time because they're not far from Dusseldorf. But Javier Hernandez was at Bayer Leverkusen at the time.
All right,
he was brilliant.
Yeah, really.
I love watching him at United. Actually, it's so underrated as a player.
The one that gets me is the one he scores with the back of his head.
Oh, it's Stoke. Oh. But he just wanted to get on it. Do you know what I mean? Not a lot of players would do that. No. They would there's nothing I can do with that. Whereas he's like, I'm just going to try. And he got something off it.
Do you ever see his debut goal where he kicked it into the ground off of his face?
Oh, yeah, he smacked his face. It's like Stretford End, yeah. He was a great wee player to watch. Yep. I think there was a few other players. I think Solomon Kalou might have been playing for Hertha Berlin that day as well. So there was an array of well-known sort of Premier League players at that point. So, and what a stadium actually, Olympus Stadium,
good atmosphere and things.
Oh, see, when you talk about casuals and that here, it's nothing like when you go to Germany. They're following where we were sat. It was to the left, and you spoke to a few people in the stand. It's you cannot get tickets for there. Yeah, it's season ticket holders and for those who know people basically. So even as if you wanted to go and stand there as just a holiday maker, no chance. It's not happening. And the noise they make. The drums, I think a lot of the clubs in Germany specifically have somebody will stand at the bottom of the stand with a microphone and just rile them up.
Yeah, I like
the
that.
Atmosphere is...
I see that in Italian football and I absolutely love that.
I think Harry Kane said that he's as much as he's played in some of the biggest stadiums in the world, he doesn't realise what it was like until he came to Germany, the atmosphere. It's every ground. It doesn't matter how big or small it is. Passionate, but the best thing about it is it's cheap compared to...
It's a
30 quid or 30
51 and 49 rule in Germany.
Aye.
So the fans own the club.
All the fans own the clubs. Yep. And so that whittles down to obviously the ticket prices.
Yep.
Dirt cheap.
Yep.
I couldn't believe it. I paid 20 quid to go on. Crazy. And you wouldn't even get a sausage roll in half the clubs of that.
You're £15 to get in a League 2 game in Scotland.
What I liked as well is game day in Germany, from the 10 o'clock in the morning to build up to kickoffs. Everyone knows what's going on.
Yep.
Even if they're not directly involved. So you get off the tram and there'll be a bit of a walk to up to the stadium. But every couple of 500 yards there's a boy there with a case of lager just selling you for a tin. And they freely do that on the way up. You can drink on the way in. And it's casual. So it's not a case people need to do it before they go in. It's a cultural thing. Yep. They control it so much better than what we ever... Yeah. And it's all owned by fans, so they're only letting themselves down. You see, that's why they don't let it get away.
No, that's great.
Germany, I would recommend anybody going to watch.
Apparently, they're really welcoming to tourists going over and seeing games. I've heard Borussia Dortmund fans are really up for people coming over to watch Signal Iduna Park or the stadium as well.
It's iconic, isn't it? So they like the fact that there's a company, isn't there, that does stag do's and that. You can get the minibus for the weekend, go see a game in Germany, and then jump over to Holland and see a game. I think it'd be brilliant.
Yeah,
for 100 quid. Well, it won't be that cheap, but it wouldn't be expensive.
No.
And you just, Germany's a place to go watch a game.
I quite fancy it one day and
get it done. You won't regret it.
Yeah,
we'll sort something out.
Yeah. Scotland next year in the Euros.
No, I'm not watching Scotland. I've got Scotland top, but I'm not watching them. But I actually, in fact, going back to that, I've never seen England play either. But I've actually been to Hampden Park and watched Scotland twice. It was through the school. They used to do maybe every so often.
I remember that, yeah.
For our schools, used to get tickets. So the one I can remember very fondly, I can't remember what year it is, Scotland played Belgium in a qualifier. It would have been a Euro or a World Cup qualifier. Yeah. And Scotland were 2-0 up with 10 minutes to go and they drew 2-2. And I just remember, I think I even started shouting, you're shite. And it just took on because they should have beaten a Belgian team at the time, which were nobody.
Yeah.
And to be 2-0 up and then just lose it. But that's football for you. That's why we love it.
Fuck's sakes. Okay, my final question for JP. I said I had 9, and then we're going to just get into some actual discussion about your teams and things. I asked this to Ryan, but Ryan, there's 5 years between me and you, and there's 5 years between me and Ryan, so we've all got different opinions on this. Out of I've written 94 here, I don't know why I've written 94. 92, 93 United team, they beat Barca with Hughes and Paul Ince and Paul Parker, or the 99 treble winner team, or the 08 Ronaldo, Rooney, Tevez team. What is the better team?
That's a hell of a question. As in just like the team in general?
Just the team in general, because that's seen his 3 strongest periods as Man United boss.
Well, that's something else that probably doesn't get talked about a lot, was how he was able to constantly rebuild a squad over his time that he did, was what made it. I think 08, I can't see past it. And it's maybe a lot to do with like when I was still only 13, 99, so I didn't take on the football as much.
Yep.
So give another 9 years, I'm in my early 20s and watching and understanding football a lot more. I mean, that 99 squad was phenomenal.
To me, it doesn't have a weakness.
No, but then does the 08 team have a weakness?
I think your midfield with Anderson is your weakness, in my opinion.
But we still won it.
He still won it.
Is that not more applaudable?
And Ryan did make a very good point that, you know, he's probably, for that season alone.
Yeah, he was all right. He was all right. He's very much like Nani.
Yeah.
Like they were purple patch players. Anderson just couldn't get away from bloody Burger King, could he, from what I was hearing? He was constantly eating them. And it was his weight that was his problem.
Yeah.
Technically very good, but his change in pace was terrible, and that's what used to get him caught.
And he was, who did you say he was compared to?
Oh, Ronaldinho.
So,
but it's the Brazilian kind of element to it. But yeah, I think 08 for me, just because I think it had everything.
Yeah.
I mean, Wes Brown played pretty much the whole season at right back.
He did,
and that was he was the cover.
Yeah,
wasn't he? So, and 99 was good. And again, 99 we won the Champions League final without Keenan Scholes.
Yes,
you had Beckham playing centre mid alongside Butt, I think.
I can find it back to my notes.
Beckham and Butt.
I suppose you could frame it both ways though. Like I think the 08-09 team were probably the better side, but I think the 99 team overcame more adversity and were able to overcome more adversity. It's
a treble winning side. I think you can't really. I think maybe that gives it more. For me, it's too close to call. But the 99 team achieved so much more.
Do you think there's any scope for the 92 team? Because that in itself, you've got Mark Hughes.
They're great players. Paul Ince, like Brian Robson,
Steve Bruce.
Was Pallister there at the time?
Pallister was there.
Steve
Paul
Bruce.
Parker, Peter Schmeichel. Your midfield consisted of Paul Ince, Roy Keane.
The thing they did was they started the ball rolling.
Yeah,
is what they did. So they do get a lot of credit. But 99 won a treble, and 08 just. The way they played attacking football, and it's always been United's DNA, it's attacking football. I think 08 was the most attacking side we've ever seen.
Yep.
99, they drew quite a few games and still won the league.
It wasn't exactly
it wasn't a runaway.
No.
But then he was fighting on 3 fronts. That 07-08, we should have had the treble that year as well, but I think it was Portsmouth. There was Portsmouth at Old Trafford.
Yeah, the keeper got sent off,
which he shouldn't have got sent off for, and that cost us the treble that year as well.
Yeah,
because we did win the FA Cup, didn't we?
No, we didn't.
Or did we lose in the final then?
We lost to Chelsea in the final 06-07 because I remember Drogba.
Oh, sorry, no, it can't be FA Cup. I think I just got knocked out.
FA Cup was Portsmouth, and the League Cup. Did we win that?
Was it Tottenham then?
Tottenham won the League Cup that year. That's their last trophy.
15,
yeah, they won the League Cup that
and then
year.
Won the League Cup.
Okay,
I'm gonna go 08 because probably that front 3, Tevez, Rooney, and Ronaldo was
different class.
Ridiculous.
And Berbatov off the bench as well, which was
just like again like a naturally gifted player. That he's the closest you could probably get to like a
Cantona.
What's the word I'm looking for? Like a maverick player.
Yeah,
like the last of a maverick player. Just genius. Like that flicking that against West Ham.
The Berbatov spin.
And he does it without thinking. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have you seen his videos now? He was asked how's his touch so good, and he's like, I leather the ball off a wall barefooted, and I just in my garden. I've been doing it all my days.
Yeah,
and it shows it worked. Probably one of the best. His goal against Blackburn, I think it was that year when we beat Blackburn 7-1. He actually starts the goal in the left back position, and like every other pass goes through him. And he gets to the top and scores. He scored a hat-trick that day, but look that goal up.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant goal.
Magic. Right, that's kind of end my questions, but we've got more questions. Boston United.
Yeah, a bit of a difference for you.
Yeah, that was a curveball for me. So I've been trying to look up some Boston United history.
Have you found out they're what I would say one of the best players to ever play for them?
No, I've not.
Paul Gascoigne.
Paul Gascoigne did play for them. I did see that.
4 appearances.
Yeah.
2004.
I wasn't sure if you were counting that or not.
No, it counts. It's got to count. He played. It was league football, League Two at a time, and he played 4 games. It was at the very end of his career, and he wanted to go into coaching, which obviously didn't happen. But I also didn't realise at the time it was Steve Evans was the manager.
All right, okay.
Plymouth, the boy that's got like pretty much every team promoted in his years.
Yeah, I know the guy you're on about. Yeah.
So yeah, he was the manager at the time.
Best spell was 2001 to 2007, where you were in League Two.
Yeah, won the conference, went up to League Two. I didn't realise myself. Again, I was very young when that happened. I was only 16. So Boston United's my team because it's my home team.
Fifth round of the FA Cup is the furthest they've went.
Yeah, and a couple of years ago, I think they lost a third round replay. If they'd won that, they would be playing Newcastle in the 4th round. It was just a couple of years ago. It was on telly. It was so close. I think it was Plymouth they might have lost to.
Would you have went down to something like that if?
Well, yeah, I would have actually, because my mum's from Newcastle, so I could get digs down there, no bother at all. And I've never been. Boston's my home. I moved up here when I was 4, so I've lived in this area for 33 years. I was born in Boston because my family was based in the area of Coningsby, which is Lincolnshire area.
Yeah.
And I was born in Boston, so it's always been my hometown, and that's even though I've been here for 33 years, I'm an England fan. Don't sound as English as a lot of people, but England through and through, Man United mad, and Boston United's a team that I keep an eye on. And yeah, our best period was the League Two, and we had a couple of high finishes to the point that we were, I think one year we were 4 points off the playoffs for League One. That was under Steve Evans. And then it kind of crumbled after that, and
I think it takes a bit of grit to support a lower league team, especially if they've never really hit high bits. It's like, we're actually
they're that small. A couple of years ago, I've got a home top, Boston home top, and I'd never had one. And I said to my missus at the time for Christmas, go and get us in. But they were that small a club; they didn't even have an online shop at the time. So she had to phone up, and it would have probably been just my port cabin. And the woman asked, where's it going? And she said Scotland, and the woman was flabbergasted. A Boston United shark was coming to, but there's no online shop.
No,
they've just recently, I think it's their 2nd year they're in it now. Like they've built a new stadium, state of the art kind of stadium for that size of club, 2,500 seats. I think it holds about 5,000 people.
Yeah,
but I'm determined within the next. My kids are getting older, so I can put them away for longer. I can get away for the weekend and. Go. I really wanted to because it's one for a while. Salford, obviously the United connection there. They were in the same league as Boston, and I wanted to try and work it out. So I went down, got a United game, on the Sunday, and a Salford Boston game on the Saturday. That would have been perfect for me. But it never worked out. But there's a new kit actually I'm wanting for Christmas this year, Emily. It's a away kit. It's an Umbro. It's nice.
Yeah,
it's proper retro.
I was kind of looking through their kit history because there's a brilliant website I use and you can look through any team's kit history. They've had Adidas, they've had some Nike proper, and things like that.
Any makers that you'd associate with any top teams, and I think right now it's Umbro.
Yep.
So yeah,
just don't get Castor whatever you do because I hear they're in a bit of shit right now.
I think they were initially, weren't they?
Okay, right. So and currently in National League North.
Yeah, again, they're a team that relies on a lot of loan players, and it's that league where
the majority of teams at that level do.
It's if people that don't know, there's 2 leagues below the conference, a North and a South, even though half the North teams are actually based around London.
I had a graphic of that sent to me by one of my mates what team he's Hartlepool or something like that.
Yeah, because they got relegated down into the conference, is it? They're not quite further down that.
Something like that. And he was like, look at the madness of these travelling schedules. Like,
and people don't get praised enough for it, but some of their games are Tuesday nights.
Mm-hmm. So
Boston United, for people who don't know, it's just about an hour's drive south of Newcastle to get there. And some of their away games will be in London. So it's like a 400.
Going on Boston, I've actually got something quite funny to show you, JP.
Oh, brilliant.
I thought I'd
pull this out the bag, did you?
Pull this out the bag while I was here.
It's not me, is it?
Dominic, who was on episode 3.
We're not related, are we?
No, he actually was on the books at Boston as a kid.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
like of all days today, like when I'm saying the line is, the stars are all aligning. To pull that one out, it's pretty.
So
I take it he lived down there at one point.
Right. So here we go. So
have you actually got a picture of him?
Here's him at a Boston United summer camp years ago.
That's brilliant.
And he says, I'll not say what he actually said about the place, but
it's a shite hole.
He says they were the only decent club nearby, them or Lincoln, but they were a bit further away. And he says Rob Allen, who was at Elgin Sports Community Trust, is a massive Boston United fan as well.
Elgin Community, really?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I have to find that.
So
small world.
A small world. So there is another one in Elgin.
And the fact that someone that's been on here is actually on the books.
Yes.
Brilliant.
So he was there, and it's kind of like, similar size a club to, we're looking at stadium, to Elgin.
Yeah, I think
5,000.
If they were to get a match, I think it'd be quite close.
Yeah.
Boston might even pull away based on the fact that some of their loan players will be from the
bigger
League
clubs.
1, League 2 in England, which is, we know the quality is there compared to like Scottish football.
Yeah.
It's momentous difference.
I don't know if he was actually on the books, but I know he
went there occasionally.
Summer camps and things like that. Yeah. So yeah.
Again, it's a big community club.
Yeah.
Like a solid fan base. Do you know what I mean? And things, it's up and down. It's a proper league where I think anything below the Premiership, you can always, anybody, like Championship, for example, they always say it's the hardest league to get out of.
Yep.
Anybody could win it. You could go on a massive streak and be there at the end of the season, or you could go the other way. And, Conference North League's exactly the same.
Yeah. No.
Any team down there could win it. But yeah, we lost a FA Cup qualifier just the other day. We shouldn't have. We should have been in the first round. But then again, that's money for a club.
Yeah.
Would be massive for them, and we've missed out on losing a team that's probably another 2 or 3 tiers below us. But then that's just what happens. No, they were playing away. So that like the quality of the pitch, things like that, which you don't generally speak about, obviously, with professional football.
Yeah.
And the boys that we playing from a part time would have been working all week and then go and play football weekends. I mean, those factors like Elgin City.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't take that into consideration.
The quality of football will never be there because the full time people, they've got life away from football. It's not just their only thing. So
you've got to take your hats off to guys like that. It's a special kind of commitment. What kind of time we're speaking?
We're on an hour 10 minutes.
Are we?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Jesus,
right.
That's flown by.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm going to quickly fire in. I think we've done a lot of United and things like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to quickly speak 5 minutes about Thursday night football.
Yeah, sure.
And then I'm going to run through your 1 to 11. So me and JP have been playing football for a few years now.
Well, us together, yeah, but Thursday night football for me has been probably 11 years.
Yep.
And it was something, I used to work at ASDA along with Dan, and it's just something we started as, friends do. We want to play football. There wasn't anything in the area. At that time, there was no Green Arena, there was no Elgin Academy, there was no Elgin High School, so there's no AstroTurf, so any spaces available were probably taken by welfare teams, or people would literally be training on playing fields, whatever. So we actually started Thursday night football, you won't know, but it was in Barkhead.
Okay, wow.
So as you go into Barkhead, the left-hand side where Barkhead Thistle play, we used to just do that. We used to, all of us drive, used to be like a convoy of 5 or 6 cars, about 10 to 12 of us. So that's how determined we were to start it. So like, Toby was at ours at that time. So that's just how the group grew to a point that we initially then went to Elgin Academy. And then after Elgin High School was redeveloped, we moved there. And it had been very strong up until recently. A lot of boys. I mean, I'm 37, so I'm the older one out there, but everyone else is about your age, but they've kind of moved on, or just like you say yourself, it's coming to an end, isn't it?
Yeah.
The reality kicks in, and
reality
just a bit more. Your commitment's not always there. I mean, you're a busy man with this and that now, and you've still got the family to think about as well. And you've got to filter in factors.
Family, work. You know, a lot of guys will look out the window, and if it's not a nice night, they're like,
they won't do it.
They won't come down.
I've done it. The only time, the good thing about Elgin High School is the only time it's closed is between Christmas and New Year.
Yeah,
that 2 days, that 2 Thursdays a year, so 50 weeks of the year.
There's football.
You can go play football all through the summer, and that's one thing we liked about it. And for me, it was always just a case of release my testosterone for the week. That 1 hour.
Yep.
Just go try and through boys if I feel like I need to. Can't do it as much now because the boys are a bit soft, but when we first started going, there was plenty of tackles in.
Yeah.
The point that some people would be commenting on our Facebook group saying, I think it's a bit rough. Yeah. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me, it's just the way I play.
No, I've always enjoyed playing against you, JP, because physicality is my game, and that's what I'll do. I'll run more than anyone, and I'll be physical, and you'll match that. You know,
maybe it's not the legs, but certainly physically, I'll get in the way. And then I've not been big-headed, but I can ping a ball. I can do all right with that. Like,
and I'm not gonna mash up. When I first started playing football against you, I didn't like you, JP. I thought
I've always known that. I'm a mouthy person on the pitch, and I think I'm very good at including people. And when you look at likes of, and really maybe it took you a wee while to realise what I was doing.
Yep,
was more to include you in the group rather than, and it's just the way I go about doing things. I think you used to come down with your Celtic top, had Daddy in the back.
Yeah.
So I think I used to call you Daddy to start with.
You did,
and
mate.
it probably wound you the fuck up. That's probably what it is, where you're like, is he? You just couldn't figure me out.
I couldn't figure you out to begin with, and then I think as we started playing with each other, and then I started figuring out your game, and your game's very similar to my game.
Simple.
It's simple, fundamental.
Just go down for a bit of fun and kick about. Don't take it too seriously. Get involved where you can, and just you've got an hour just to be explosive.
Yeah, exactly.
And just enjoy it. If you're not here to enjoy it, there's plenty of other places to go. No. Don't take it too seriously. And
then through that, my opinion changed, you know. And
I think Adam's quite a good example. Well, I call him Lallana. Yep. He's a guy that struggled probably socially in groups, didn't get a lot of time in the ball, but I'd always make sure I'd give him the ball when there was space. And you've seen how he's come on leap and bounds as a player.
Loves it.
He loves the game, and a couple of years ago he started playing for the Vikings. So he got up to welfare, and that was just from Thursday night and me getting him involved. And I do know it was me that helped him do that. And he achieved playing welfare for a year.
Yep.
Some people won't even get there because he wasn't a confident player.
No.
And I'm very much trying to get people involved, confidence.
Yeah.
And because if they're enjoying it, then I'll enjoy it more.
Exactly.
Because I don't have to worry about people getting them.
And I don't think people realise that you're doing that at the same time.
Yeah.
You know?
It takes, and it like I appreciate it, admit that it takes sometimes a while just to understand what's behind it. There's no harshness.
There's no malice behind it.
It's just purely a case of I'm getting you involved here.
Yeah.
And I'm loud. People hate it. People do hate it. I'm very loud, very vocal. But there's always going to be one on the pitch.
Yeah.
And that's how it works.
That's it. And I'm just going to, because I know a few of the boys who used to play with us, I'll probably maybe watch this. I just want to put a special mention in a few of them, because we've had some quality players down there over the years.
Boys that could easily play welfare.
Yep.
Like,
I'm looking at players like Irish,
phenomenal. Bit selfish, but then you need a selfish player in your team. Great runner, solid as a rock. Like, I'm probably one of the bigger guys here.
Yeah,
and he would always, I'd have to give him a bit extra to even get him off the ball.
One of these kind of players
just bounces off your shoulders.
You'd think you had the ball and he'd just have it a millimetre.
He's got that. His toe would be like a bit bigger for that millisecond.
Yeah,
and you're just like,
and he's put the ball round you, then he's round you, then he's round someone else.
His problem was not releasing the ball at the right time.
Yes,
if you could teach him that, he would have been brilliant.
Yep,
would have been brilliant.
Bogey, who because I've started working with the development squad, down at ESCT, I'm seeing more of Bogey again. Bogey's a decent player.
Can hold the ball up well. Again, age has probably got to him. He'll admit that himself.
Yep.
He's probably a bit bigger than what he wants to be, but he's still mobile enough, and again, could play at a welfare level. I think the majority of boys in a Thursday could.
Yes.
And there was, for a while, I was contemplating, putting us, there was enough of us every week. There was like 20, 22 of us. I was like, let's get a team started. Noodles was up for it. I was, because I'm thinking that if I could go again, it's always going to be just one more year. And I would love to do it. But it just didn't quite fruition. But there was enough boys there that we could have given it a go. And you know what? If we got pasted every week, so what? It was a case of like 11 bites, go and have a game of football.
That's it.
And that's all it's about.
That's all that matters at the end of the day.
If you can take away that you would get humped by some boys. Because I know that I think there's a Forest Thistle team now, or an FC Thistle, whatever. But they're all ex-Highland League boys and they've just won the league like ridiculous. And you just wouldn't get near them.
No. And one special last mention to Bill the keeper.
Yeah, some boy. Yeah, was you there that time? I gave him an extra digit.
No,
we'll leave that there.
It's a story for another day. But Bill, he's the he's the moaniest bastard I've ever met in my life.
You touch him and he goes down like a sack of tatties, doesn't he?
But honestly, he's good banter at the same time. Like, yeah,
I get right. I would reverse how your initial opinions of me. I definitely had that with Bill.
Yeah,
I struggled for years to
get
just understand him, and I think when you take that step back, he's actually a nice guy.
Yeah,
and actually, he gets a lot of stick for no reason.
Yeah,
but he means the best.
Oh, absolutely, mate. Absolutely, his heart's in the right place.
Absolutely.
1 to 11. Here we go. So I'll read through it and then we'll pick it apart. So there's a few players we mentioned on here tonight already. So today, already. So
have you changed it from what
I have? So I'm going to cross that out and put these over.
Okay.
So you're going to go Van der Sar.
Yeah.
For the first and last time on this podcast, Steve Bruce.
Probably. I mean, you just run through it fast. Yeah. Okay.
Rio, Ferdinand, Vidic, Evra, middle three of Gaza, Keane, and Kevin De Bruyne, which is unbelievable. And then a front three of, I think you said Rooney.
Play Rooney left.
Ronaldo right.
Right, and then Van Nistelrooy.
Van Nistelrooy through the middle. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Bruce.
Yeah, I think Dominic mentioned in a previous episode that he struggled with right backs. I mean, you'd usually associate left backs as people probably harder players to say, oh, I enjoyed watching them, or they deserve to be in an 11. I nearly picked Philip Lahm actually.
Wow. Yeah.
But again, I don't have a massive affiliation with European football, but he went 14 months without conceding a foul.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Philip Lahm didn't one single foul. I don't think he played a great deal of games, at maybe 24 to 28 games.
Yeah.
In a 14, didn't concede one single foul as a right back.
That's mad.
Obviously, he was predominant in that Germany team for ages, but that's now less. But yeah, Steve Bruce, probably one of the most underrated centre backs.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got him right back, but it's because I think I needed to have him. He scored 19 goals in one season for you. I think it was 1990-91 as a centre-back. And he's never been capped by England.
Yeah.
Probably the greatest centre-back never to be capped.
Yep, I agree. Do you listen to Quickly Kevin, the podcast?
No, I don't listen to much. I only listen to this one.
Thank you.
Thanks for your support.
There's a 90s football podcast called Quickly Kevin. Unbelievable, but they're big Steve Bruce fans on that.
What he did, like the year that we won the Premier League for the first year, I don't know if you've seen that iconic moment where you see Brian Kidd running on the pitch and jumping on his knees.
Yeah.
So that's just happened. We were actually 1-0 down to Sheffield Wednesday, and I think we were literally in the 90th minute, and Steve Bruce scores one header from a corner, and then 2 minutes later, he scores a winner. And that's when you see, because that basically wins us a league, because Aston Villa would have won it if he hadn't done that, and that's where you see the iconic scene. Steve Bruce, just phenomenal. Yes. Phenomenal player. Pallister was very close to being in there as well.
Like him.
Gary Neville will tell you that he says that it's Pallister and Bruce are the best centre-backs at United.
He played.
I think there's been 4.
Rio and Vidic, the other 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For years, they did it for years. Pallister and Bruce were probably 5 or 6 years, but Rio and Vidic did it longer.
Yeah, and they complemented each other.
Yeah, Vidic gets stuck in, Ferdinand does the running about,
yep.
And you can't get a better pairing.
Nope.
But and the thing that makes probably Bruce and Pallister a bit more unique is that neither one of them were blessed with pace. But I tell you what, Pallister could move when he needed to, and he was a lump.
Yep.
But stuck in.
Didn't
solid.
look like a football player.
No, shouldn't have been probably. But then Steve Bruce doesn't really look like what your class is a great football player.
No.
Yeah, that early squad of United has a lot to say for anyone's 11 if you're a United fan. But
to finish up your back four, you've got Patrice Evra.
Yeah, just different class. Again, his first United game, he was bought in the January window. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever seen that, where he had this big white jacket on.
Yeah.
It was an awful photo. And he didn't really understand. I don't think his English was very great when he came in, and I don't think he realised he was going to. He obviously signed for United, but I don't think he realised that interview was obviously what it was going to be. He's got this ridiculous over the school like white. I'll have to find it for you. But his first game was actually against Man City
at Eastlands, wasn't it?
And we lost. He had he was hauled off at half time. He was that bad. He just couldn't get to grips. I can't even remember. Did we sign him from Monaco?
Yeah, because he had
so obviously the game was completely different. Was he part of that
Champions League semi-final?
Yeah, with Porto.
Yeah.
But he just went for leaps and bounds.
Yeah,
and for what he went through with somebody I won't mention because of the team that he played for.
I know how passionate you are about that incident.
It's just, and the way he conducted himself on and off the pitch after is like just brilliant player. And I think it was actually him that crossed the ball for Paul Scholes one of the seasons when we scored a last minute winner at the Etihad. It's one of my favourite goals ever actually as well. I'll have to look that one. I think it was Evra.
Yeah.
Just classic centre back.
Yeah.
Probably doesn't get praised enough because Ashley Cole played a lot at the same time. But again, I don't think Ashley Cole, I think he was bummed up a lot.
Yeah.
Because he was English.
Yeah. He definitely had the English media behind him.
Evra was on par for me with Ashley Cole. But he did it quietly as well. He was passionate. He left his business on the pitch and then got on with it off. You know what I mean?
That's it.
Yeah.
Not just a phenomenal player, but also just a phenomenal person and personality as well.
I think through COVID, he'd certainly come to limelight and like his videos and that, his reels and that. He's a funny guy.
Yeah.
He's grown a lot on me post football career.
Yeah,
and that highlights how good he was on the pitch.
Yeah, excellent. I think we've spoken enough about Gaza.
Yeah.
Roy Keane and Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah.
Chalk and cheese there, like.
Well, that if you look at that midfield three, they can all do one job and the other can do their job without worrying about everyone else.
Yeah, I agree.
Gaza's your box to box. De Bruyne is the one that's going to filter it away and Keane will do the dirty work.
Yeah.
Roy Keane's just the epitome of
hard work.
Hard work. I think hard work in any team, like we say, beats talent any time. And Roy Keane was by no means a talented player.
Yep.
And he's very humble about what he wins or what he's won, in his career. But he's just a hard worker.
He's also fucking hilarious.
He's brilliant. Him and Micah.
Yeah.
Just like they're again like chalk and cheese, but they complement each other, don't they?
Yeah, it does. It works.
He's got such a dry attitude, but there's a lot of stories there that you haven't heard yet. And I think he's slowly but surely like bringing them. Because one I heard on is it Overlap that they do about him and Schmeichel having a scrap.
Oh yeah.
It's like they'd gone for a beer and all that, and basically Peter Schmeichel obviously took offence, I think, to a lot of what people said because he was the big Dane, wasn't he? And the next thing you know, they're having a scrap in a hotel room. Next morning, Keane gets up and totally forgot about it. And Schmeichel's there with glasses on. And the next day, it was them two that were picked to do media interviews. And he's got Schmeichel's up beside Schmeichel with a black eye. It's just like...
Have you heard the story about them lining up for Ireland and Jason McAteer?
No.
So they're lining up for Ireland, USA 94, and... they're all in the lineup and they're singing a national anthem, and Jason McAteer looks to the right of him and you can see something's getting whispered in the line, and he's like, all right, this must be last minute instructions, just whatever I do, I just remember what I'm saying and just pass it on. So it's coming along, and it gets to him, and I think it's Ray Houghton passes into his ear and he says, fourth row from left, Viking big bird with a big blonde bird with the big tits. And he's like, all right, okay. And then he turns around and he's got Roy Keane next to him, and he's like, Roy Keane's like looking like dead serious, and he's just like, yeah, just keep it tight, Roy, just keep it tight, and just carries on looking in front of him. It's quality.
It's that time when Robbie Keane's his missus just had a baby, innit? And they were asking him, the media, it's like, so is Robbie Keane going to be playing then? Because his wife's just had a baby as well. She's had the baby, not him. Of course she's going to be playing. It's just like
so
straight laced, isn't it? Don't care.
Kevin De Bruyne, quality.
Just he can do everything. Actually, he can defend deep. He can sit in the. Just again, probably a player that doesn't look like he should be as good as he is. But it was a few years back. I think he scored a hat trick at Wolves, and that night he was just everything.
Yep.
Absolutely heaven. But I think the best assist I've ever seen in my life was at home against Stoke, and he passes it, and it must be about 6 Stoke. It just takes him all at the game with one pass, and whoever, I think it's Jesus at the time, goes on and scores. Just
unbelievable.
I can't find words to describe him, if that makes sense, because I think he's that good.
Yep.
And City are missing him.
Yeah, I agree.
Haaland's missing him.
Yeah.
Like he's the key. He's the key. You keep him fit, you win the league.
Yeah. No, enough said, mate. Okay, your front three: Van Nistelrooy, Rooney, and Ronaldo. How good would them three would have been together if he'd managed?
Well, I messaged you yesterday saying, I want to change it out slightly and bring in Van Nistelrooy. And it's purely his name had started popping up the last couple of days, and I didn't realise how good a record he's actually got in the Champions League.
Yeah, it's huge.
I think it's 56 goals in like 71 games. His strike rate is actually the same as Ronaldo's.
Yeah.
And he was playing back in an era where defenders were
better.
Defenders.
Yeah.
Or certainly stronger, because football is obviously more of like an athlete's game these days. Whereas back when Van Nistelrooy was still playing, it was like defenders were solid.
Yeah.
Van Nistelrooy was good.
Yep, doing it
95 goals for United in about 150 appearances for that time is phenomenal as well. And he could have had more, but he had the typical player falls out, Ferguson. Once your time's up, because he got dropped for a Carling Cup final, I think it was, and he wasn't happy and he left. That was it. Yep. But I get what he did, and he got to us a year late because he come to us the summer before and he'd done his knee in.
Yep.
I think while he was doing his medical.
Video of that, and
I think while he was doing his medical, and 20 million euros. 20 million pounds. Obviously back then was a lot of money, but in comparison, I'd hate to think it would be worth now.
Yeah.
Like he was just great. And that goal against Fulham shrugs the boy off. That goal probably wouldn't stand today with VAR. Because he just shuffles him off.
Yeah.
And he just dribbles. He had everything. Ruud had everything. And he was solid actually.
Yep.
He would get stuck in.
Yeah.
I think a lot of boys that when they talk about Ruud just was for a striker, he didn't mind doing the dirty work, which is you don't often hear with centre forwards. They want it on a plate.
Yep.
But he would work, like Larsson used to work.
And from what I'm hearing and what I've read, he used to just spend all day, every day, just shooting balls at goals.
Well, the same that Beckham did. That's why he became so good.
Yep.
You practice what you're good at, and it's muscle memory eventually. You know what I mean? Like darts players are great because they do that 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
And you end up doing it without thinking.
It's going to pay off. We could talk to a little bit about Ronaldo. So we're going to Rooney. Do you think, the question was, do you think Rooney underachieved at Man United, did you ask me?
Well, just in his career, right?
And do you think Rooney underachieved in his career?
Was he not already a man before he was a man, if you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he come on the scene at Everton at 16.
Yep.
And I've watched his most recent one? Or one of his programs that he's had out recently. And he's like, he knew how good he was when he got into that first team. You know, Alan Stubbs, he's like, I walked in that dressing room and he's like, I know I'm the best one here. He was 16.
Yep.
But he was built like a 25-year-old. So I don't think he necessarily underachieved. I think when you look at the size of him now, like off the pitch, like how much he must have struggled to keep weight within reason.
Yep.
Explosive, just everything. You never actually asked me my favourite goal, but my favourite goal is probably the one against Newcastle.
The one that he got out of frustration?
When he's arguing with the referee.
Yep.
He's 18, I think it's 2004, 2005, so he's 18, 19. And he's arguing with the ref because Shearer was at it. Basically, he was saying, Shearer's had 3 fouls. He's like, if that's me, I'm getting booked. And you still see him like looking at the ref as the ball's been punted forward, and you just see him explosively running beside the ref. And next thing you know, bang.
He's
and that just epitomised him around that 2004 to 2006 when he's at Euros. If he'd stayed fit, we would have won the Euros. He was just brilliant.
And I've heard recently him saying that going into every World Cup, going into every Euros, he felt like if he didn't play well, England would go out.
I think there's a lot of pressure on him because he said himself he never actually wanted to be a striker. He wanted to provide the goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the seasons he was scoring over 25 goals a season for us. He's just...
Do you remember he went on a little run of scoring like 9 or 10 headed goals in a row?
Yeah, brilliant in the air.
And it was recently, like before that, he'd been criticised for not using his head enough.
So he made it. He makes it. That's what he was like. He would make a statement.
Yep.
It was so good. And I put him on the left because one of the best games he ever had. I think it was the first leg before we won 7-1 against Roma. We went to Roma and won 2-0. And he was that time Ferguson was deploying him as a left winger to cover either who they were playing against or just to give like Ronaldo, because Ronaldo was through the middle.
Yep.
So to give him a bit more leeway. Rooney would sacrifice himself all day long.
Yeah.
He's one of the few players you could probably put in any position in the team, even in the goals.
Yep.
And he'll give you the utmost, and he'll probably outperform 90% of players in that league at that time.
I agree.
He's that determined, and he was, he's, again, another player. He's a little bit of a maverick because he had his issues off the pitch. but on the pitch, just
different class.
Did he underachieve? Could he have won more with England? Probably.
Yeah.
Like there was a crop of that era, like when Ericsson, you mentioned that before. Those teams that we had there, we should have been winning stuff, and he was part of that. But he's United's all-time top goal scorer.
Yeah.
For a while, he was England's all-top goal scorer. Changed his position as he got older as well. He didn't just stay up top. Like that last few years at United, he was playing more of a
box to box
centre midfielder, dropping back. I can't praise enough. One of United's greatest ever signings.
No, I agree with everything you say, mate. As I say, special talent for at the time. He was the big thing,
but a lot of pressure. He's probably had the most pressure of any England player I've ever been. Like probably more than Gaza, because he was the first on the scene for so long after Gaza. For a while it was back to back. Like you had Hoddle, then Gaza, then there wasn't anybody. Then Rooney was about 5 or 6 years later. So they didn't have like a golden boy, if you like. Michael Owen didn't quite. He had that moment, but nothing materialised. And then he come on the scene and just that goal against Arsenal says it all. At age of 16.
Yeah.
Debut against Fenerbahce. I always say Galatasaray. Fenerbahce scores a hat-trick Champions League. Oh, yes, aye. Nutcase, brilliant.
Magic.
Imagine going for a drink with him. Where would you end up?
Oh, some places. Some places.
A hostel in the middle of nowhere.
The Sun newspaper.
Yeah, some escort in your room.
With friends.
Okay. Corporate stuff. I'm going to just say thank you to everyone who has watched, listened, reviewed so far. Keep it up. More 5-star reviews, please. Once we get to 20, we'll be doing a giveaway. Might even be about at 20 by this point.
Quite possibly.
Episode 7, I've got a big guest coming on. I'm not going to mention who, but it's my first professional football player. This is where we've been trying to go with this podcast, and really looking forward to it. Okay, JP, final question. One penalty to save your life. Who takes the penalty?
I'll say it quick because I've researched this. Matt Letizia.
Whoa, just had 2 in a row.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ian.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate he missed one.
Yeah. 46 out of 47, he was saying.
40 out of 49.
48 out of 49, sorry.
I love that, yeah. I knew it was always great. I didn't realise it was that good.
That's unbelievable.
And it was all Premier League.
Yep.
Yeah. I see, he could have been in my 11, actually. It was close.
Special player.
One man club. Should have probably moved, but was a bit scared, I think, of moving up. It was United. Ferguson wanted him.
And he's adored.
Yeah,
because of it.
He's fade. Is it Jersey? So being on the South Coast is fine for his family, wasn't it? Yeah, that's what it comes down to. People forget that side of things.
And people think that he was a bit of a maverick and a bit of a different footballer because he was from Jersey and he didn't play with like everyone else. Growing up, he had to go through a different system almost.
Probably the best 2-foot player I've ever seen.
Yeah. I'll throw Lubo Moravcik into there.
He was good.
Yeah.
Southampton, wasn't he, before? Or after? He's still with West Ham, wasn't he?
Villa, I think it was. I don't know. I'd have to look that up. Okay, thank you very much for coming on, JP. I really appreciate your time, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah, no bother. That was us wrapping round.